as you can see below, this is a bit of a review as well as a response to several viewers, YWC, IWC reviewers, for last night's Tribute to the Troops special, which aired on USA in a 2-hour format. It will air again this Saturday night on NBC in a 1-hour format, probably with matches that were not shown on the 2-hour format. Now, I'll be honest with you. I enjoyed Tribute to the Troops. I enjoy it every year. In fact, it's the only WWE show that I will record onto the same disc as my holiday specials and movies. That's right. Basically, every year, with a few exceptions, I will say that I think once or twice, and that's it. But a majority of the time since I've recorded Tribute to the Troops, they've always been on the same DVD, on the same recordable DVD, or when they first started, for VHS or whatever you want to call them, but more so the DVDs, recordable DVDs. They've been on the same recordable DVDs as my holiday specials and movies. Like I said, there have been a few exceptions where I've put them on the same disc as my wrestling, as my Monday Night Raws and my SmackDowns, because at most times I was very limited to what I could use. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people that weren't too happy with it. More so, Brad of the Brad Rules YouTube channel. Please check him out. He gives a straight shoot on how he feels about certain things. And if you're an ROH fan, you can definitely check him out. You should definitely check him out. Like I said, he says it like it is. He'll voice his opinion, and whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter to him. And he will respond to you if you really have a problem with it. But I understand his displeasure with this. Now, I completely know. Now, I can tell that he does appreciate maybe the WWE doing the Tribute to the Troops, but he doesn't appreciate how they did it last night. And the way they did it last night was, as he put it, was almost like it wasn't a TV PG. It wasn't TV PG-V, if you will, or TV PG-LV. Heck, he said it wasn't even TVG. He said what he saw last night was mostly TVY7. And here's why. A majority of the night, backstage segments, inside the arena and whatever, besides Flo Rida, Kid Rock, the celebrity cameos with the, celebrity cameo videos with their thank yous to the troops and all that. Throughout the night, besides all that, throughout the night, in the backstage area, as well as in the ring, in the arena, besides the celebrities, Flo Rida and Kid Rock, which he actually did like. He did like Kid Rock. That was probably the only thing he liked about it. Besides all that, and besides the WWE superstars and divas, you also had the Muppets. And I'll be honest with you, I had really no problem with it. I mean, I grew up liking the Muppets. I always have been a fan of the Muppets, so I don't have a problem with it. But I do understand from his pinpoint, and anybody else that will agree with him, that has agreed with him from their pinpoint, or from their standpoint, I should say, on how they feel about it. Especially with one little segment. You see, we had Ms. TV. A special Tribute to the Troops Ms. TV, which took place on the stage. Now, usually when Ms. TV takes place on the stage, it's because it's for certain reasons, right? Well, in this case, it was because we had the Muppets. And more so, we had Kermit, and then later on, Miss Piggy. Now, I can understand, again, how Brad felt about the segment. I can totally understand that. It's like there's a time and place to do this, just not a tribute to the troops. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that bugged Brad and bugged a lot of other people, I'm pretty sure of it. It was the fact that you took an up-and-comer an up-and-coming main eventer, or someone that's going to be a main eventer in my opinion, Damien Sandow. And you basically had him come out and interact with the Muppets. Now, of course, if you're a fan of Damien Sandow, this pisses you the hell off because he's supposed to be taken seriously, right? Well, what happens is this results in a match between Miz and Damien. Miz wins the match. He goes back up, high-fives Kermit. I think, well, and I guess wants to give a kiss on the cheek to Miss Piggy. She turns around, kisses him all over, and he has the expression afterwards like, oh, wow, you know, I didn't expect that. And by that happening, of course you're going to tick off a lot of people like Brad and many others on the YWC and IWC, who particularly feel as though by doing that, you basically just turned a PG-rated tribute to the troops to a TV Y7 for kids. That's mainly what you did. And as he said, you basically turned Miz into a furry. And if you don't want to know what he's talking about, go ahead and I'll provide a link to his video. Anyway, you want to know how he feels about it, again, I'll provide a link to his video and you'll see exactly what he's talking about. But me, personally, I got a kick out of it because, like I said, I'm a fan of the Muppets. And yeah, I understand there's a certain place and time to do this, and perhaps Miss Piggy kissing Miz wasn't the best idea. And maybe, you know, the Muppets introducing John Cena wasn't the best idea, you know, or Sandow interacting and Daniel Bryan interacting. You get the idea. The superstars and divas that interacted with them, it probably wasn't the best idea to do that. But you got to remember this. You got to remember this. Despite the plans eventually to make Monday Night Raw edgier in the future, you got to remember they're still trying to cater to the family product, to the family atmosphere. Let me put it to you like this. There's a video on WWE Fan Nation, and it's a sneak peek of the newest Legends of Wrestling Roundtable where they talk about the evolution of hardcore. And the segment they show basically has JR state that the reason we don't see hardcore the way we used to anymore nowadays is because of the time frame and the situations. Everything that's been thrown out there that's associated with blood, like, you know, diseases and AIDS and well, you get the idea. Again, I'll provide a link to that as well if you want to check that out. But if you don't want to, but if I don't, go, like I said, go ahead and check it out at WWE Fan Nation. But he basically says the reason we don't see the hardcore wrestling like we used to is because of the certain time and place we're in right now. So whether you want to hear that or not, it's the truth. But again, that is why essentially you had what you had last night. You know, despite, like I said, the fact that they're planning in the future to make Raw edgier, or so they say, you know, they're still catering to the families, to the family atmosphere. Let me put it to you like this. Think of it more like a 2-hour primetime holiday edition of Saturday Morning Slam. That's right. A primetime holiday edition of Saturday Morning Slam, 2 hours. Because they did show in some angle segments, especially during John Cena's match, they did show the audience. They did show a kid yelling, "Let's go Cena," and all that. So again, think of it as a 2-hour primetime holiday edition or Christmas edition of Saturday Morning Slam. Think of it that way. And then that might clue you in as to why it was presented the way it was. And you gotta think about it this way. It's only once a year. Let's say next year, when Raw probably goes edgier, and maybe the same with SmackDown and Main Event, that the only G-rated material you'll have to worry about will be Saturday Morning Slam, and then besides that, the only other PG or G-rated material from WWE you'll have to worry about after that is tribute to the troops. I'm just saying. Think of it like that. Think of it like, okay, they're planning to make Raw edgier and probably SmackDown and main event along with it. So perhaps this isn't a bad, so perhaps I just have to worry about this once a year. That's about it. And who knows? Maybe tribute to the troops will get edgier too. Maybe they will. But again, it's only once a year. It's towards the end of the year. It's their way of saying thank you to the troops, as well as saying thank you to the fans. Because let's be honest, every time it ends, it's basically like the curtain is pulled away and all the superstars and divas, either the baby faces or heels, come together to thank the troops and the families and the fans. Think of it that way. But to me, overall, I did enjoy tribute to the troops. I actually found it enjoyable. I mean, because again, like I said, it only happens once a year. It only happens once a year. And it had some decent matches. I'll be honest. Yes, they were short and everything, but they were decent. I mean, you had 3MB, in their 6-man tag against Kane, Daniel Bryan, and R-Truth, and the segment before that with Daniel Bryan, an animal, and then a Muppet goat of all things. That got me laughing. I mean, come on, you had to find that funny. And if you didn't, then fine, that's your opinion, but I found it funny. I mean, to hear the goat to see that Muppet goat just sniffing, or asking, looking at Daniel, going like, "Cousin Daniel?" And then sniffing, going, "Cousin Daniel." I mean, that cracked me up. I mean, especially with Animal. You gotta love Animal. I mean, who doesn't? But overall, I did enjoy it. They had some decent, okay matches. Sheamus and Randy against Big Show and Dolph was alright. Miz and Damien Sandow was okay. And, John Cena and Antonio, that was good. I mean, that was the first time I think they've ever locked up with each other. So, overall, I give it a passing grade. And again, I know some people have problems with certain segments and stuff, like, the Muppets segments and all that, and maybe Flow Rider and such. I know they have problems with that. They probably don't have a problem with the celebrities doing their little video thank yous and all that, and the president starting it off as well. But again, like I said, it's just once a year. And you have the option of doing the 2 hours or waiting until the following Saturday, which is in 2 days, to see the hour condensed version, probably with matches and things you haven't seen in the 2-hour edition. But again, I had no problem with it. I credit WWE for trying to keep it up current, kind of act like it's happening now, because they do mention what happened at TLC and Raw and Super SmackDown, so I give them credit there. Overall, I do give it a passing grade, and I recommend that if you haven't seen it, if you have Universal HD, check it out next week around the 26th. They'll be showing both editions, the 1 hour and the 2 hour. And if you want to watch the condensed version, watch it this Saturday. But I enjoyed it, and hopefully that explained why it was the way it was. So, Brad, you want to respond? I appreciate it. Anybody else wants to respond? Please go ahead and do so. Comments are welcome. I'll talk to you all later.